All right, let's talk about teenagers. If you're getting just a little bit tired of the slam doors and the one word answers, you are in exactly the right place. In this explainer, we're going to look at the teenage years a little differently, not as some battle you have to win, but as a bridge to a new and honestly much stronger relationship. And it all starts with understanding what is really going on inside their head.
Does your home ever feel like, I don't know, a communication black hole? You ask a totally simple question like, hey, how was your day? And all of a sudden you're in the middle of this huge conflict. And you're just left standing there thinking, what just happened? If that sounds even a little bit familiar, I promise you, you are not alone.
Oh, yeah, you know the scene. Slam doors that practically shake the house, one word answers that just kill any attempt at conversation. These constant arguments that seem to pop up over the smallest things. That new emotional distance that feels like a wall. And, of course, a level of sarcasm that could cut glass. It is so exhausting. And it can feel deeply, deeply personal.
But what if it's not personal? What if what looks like disrespect is actually a sign of development? I mean, that idea, it changes everything. It suggests that this push for autonomy, this pulling away, isn't a rejection of you. It's actually a necessary step for them to become a capable, independent adult.
And here's maybe the single most important thing to remember. This conflict, it isn't about your parenting skills, and it's not about their character. The real driver here is biology. It's their brain, which is literally under construction. And once you understand the blueprint, you can completely change the dynamic in your home. Okay, so let's dive into the science of it all. We're going to take a look inside the teenage brain so we can really understand why impulse and emotion just seem to rule the day. The easiest way to think about the teenage brain is like a car with a supercharged gas pedal and really faulty brakes. Their emotional brain, that's the limbic system, is totally developed and it is firing on all cylinders. This is the gas pedal. It's super sensitive to things like social rewards and what their friends think. But then you have the rational brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's the brake pedal. And it's responsible for things like planning and self-control. And, well, it's still very much under construction. Yeah, this prefrontal cortex is basically the brain's CEO. It's in charge of all the really complex stuff, thinking ahead, controlling impulses, understanding consequences. But in teenagers, the CEO is still kind of an intern, just learning on the job. And that's why a teen can agree to take out the trash and then 2 minutes later walk right past the overflowing bin because they got completely absorbed by a text message. The CEO just wasn't on duty to enforce the plan. And get this whole development process isn't over when they turn 18. Nope. Neuroscientists have found that the prefrontal cortex isn't fully mature until the late 20s, sometimes even age 30. So when we get frustrated that they aren't acting like an adult, we have to remember their brain literally isn't an adult brain yet. Okay, so we've got the brain science down. But how does that feel what's happening on the outside? Let's switch gears and talk about the psychological side, because this isn't just about a developing brain. It's about a developing person.
This intense drive for independence actually has a name. It's called psychological separation. And it's this essential, totally natural process of forming a distinct sense of self, of their own I, that's separate from their parents. It's not about rejecting you, it's about building their own identity.
And it is so, so important to remember, this is not a breakup. They aren't pushing you away forever. What they're trying to do is renegotiate the terms of your relationship to change it from parent-child to adult-adult. It's a transformation, not a termination.
You can think of this separation process as standing on 4 main pillars. Emotionally, they start to rely less on your approval for their self-worth. Functionally, they have to learn to manage their own lives, do laundry, make appointments. Financially, they move towards supporting themselves. And then cognitively, they have to form their own values and beliefs, even if those end up being different from yours. All right, so we get the why now, the biology and the psychology. So let's get to the most important part. How do we actually use this knowledge to bridge that gap? How do we turn all this friction into a stronger connection? Our words have so much power here. It's incredible. Just look at the difference. The phrases on the left, they're all about control, right? They basically say, I know better than you. But the ones on the right are about trust. They say, I'm here to support you. That simple shift from control to trust can change the entire tone of a conversation. So what do they really need from you? Well, it's actually pretty simple, even if it's not always easy to do. They need you to just listen, not to immediately jump in and solve their problems. They need you to respect their growing need for space and privacy. They need you to show genuine interest in their world, even if you don't get it. And they need support, not control.
But most of all, they just need to know without a doubt that your love is unconditional.
And all of this brings us to the ultimate goal. See, it's not about just gritting your teeth and getting through the teenage years. It's about actively building the next phase of your relationship with them. It's about playing the long game. For their whole life, the relationship has been vertical, right? Parent up here, child down here, based on authority. The goal now is to shift to a horizontal model, adult to adult, built on mutual respect and connection. Your role fundamentally changes from being a manager to being a consultant, from a controller to a trusted advisor.
So, if you take just one thing away today, please let it be this. The teenage years are not a crisis to be survived. They are an opportunity to build the foundation for the lifelong adult relationship you've always wanted to have with your child. So, I'll just leave you with one final question to think about. Are you parenting the child they were or the adult they are becoming? Because the answer to that question, well, it can truly change everything.